We are live. Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome.
Good evening.
Good
How's
evening.
everybody doing?
Evening
Happy
blessings and
Thursday.
salutations.
You're a mess.
Gotta do it. That's what I do.
Louis and his
You
son.
are a mess. I just want to let everybody know today's show is the questions men want to ask women. We had a post and we actually had I think it was like 180 something comments. So if anybody has not had an opportunity to read those comments, some were really answered well. I think people need to take the time to read. But I want to introduce our guest tonight. Number one, I want to thank everybody who's logging in. Good night, everybody. Tonight we have with us Karen again. And we have with us one of our members who's pretty vocal in our group. And tonight her name is Kema Dilemma.
Hi, everybody.
Of course, we don't have Lucian on tonight. He's getting prepared for his show this weekend. But we have, of course, the lone man tonight, Mr. Janos.
That's right. That's okay.
You go handle it.
I'm built for it.
Okay.
At least I want to think so.
Okay. And we have with us Miss Gisette Thomas, but we all know her as Gigi.
Good night. Good night. Nice to be here.
And of course, we have Coquito Pinky. That's Dr. Williams' love name for you, Trina. I had to do it. I had to do it.
Perfect name.
Dr. Williams, you done got me name all kind of bad thing. Oh my God.
So I want to thank everybody who was able to join us this evening as we tackle some of the questions, because we already know an hour and a half is not enough time to even touch the surface. So you can take it away, Mr. Janos.
Once again, thanks for joining and tuning in, those that are connected. And I'm sure Debbie normally shout outs to those individuals that do connect. So I want to say welcome. Of course, we got our day ones from day one. I'm sure like Nicole, Norma, Grantley, want to say what's up to them. And before I get into that, I'm also going to give a little shout out to some folks that was visiting this weekend here in last weekend actually in St. Croix, some friends of mine. Say what's up to Chris Hill, Kevin Booker. Say what's up to those folks. Chris out of Columbus, Kevin out of Atlanta, and of Nikki and Devon as well. So I want to say definitely good evening and blessings to those folks. Let's get right to it. So tonight's show, of course, last week, Thursday, we had the version where the women wanted to ask the men that one question. And of course, this week now is where did I say it right? Last week was the men asking the women that one question, right?
I don't know.
Last week was the other way, yeah. Women wanted to ask
the men. So now this week, of course, is the men asking the women. So that being said, got a few questions here that we're going to definitely get into. And before we do that, also, I want to just mention, of course, we have a section where we talk about local businesses, but I want to highlight this weekend, we do have the New Blood art exhibit that's going to be at the Caribbean Museum in Frederiksted. That's where Lucian is actually getting prepared. A lot of great folks that's going to be, a lot of great talent. I mean, really awesome creatives that's going to be involved in that. I myself have 2 pieces that's going to be in that. So yes, I do. My pieces are from behind the lens. That's what I do. I'm do photography. So for those that didn't know. But we're going to get into these questions. And I think the first question I'm going to get into is one that I asked. One that I asked last week. I think it was a week. No, it was last week, actually. And the question I asked is, why don't women why do women come out and say exactly what's on their mind? Why don't they just come out and tell us, what's bothering them? And then there are times when, you stretch it out, for days, for whatever reason, and we obviously as men know what the issue is because we see it, you displayed, the attitudes that's going around. We see that. So why can't women just come out and say exactly what's on their mind and let us know what's going on? I mean, at the end of the day, we're not mind readers. So help us so we can, help you help us. Let me hear what your feedback is on that, ladies. Please take it away.
Well, two things. We don't want to be seen as nags.
You don't want to be seen as what?
As a nag or too demanding or complaining all the time, right?
But why do you think it would be nagging? I mean, here it is. If I'm trying to bring resolve to a situation, why don't you just help me bring the resolve and say, hey, you know what? This is what's happening. You did this, or I didn't like something that you did, and then or it could be something, I don't know. It could be something that we just disagree on. I mean, what does it have to be? What does it have to be considered? What do you have to consider being nagging? No one likes a nag, but
it depends how long the relationship is. Where are you in your relationship? Are we just starting? Sure, I'll be quiet. I'm not gonna say nothing because I don't want to rock the boat yet. But later on, I'll be quiet because I know where this is gonna go.
But if you just choose to be quiet, you say you don't want to rock the boat. So, and it's early in the relationship, am I supposed to just try to figure out what's going on, or I mean, you're not going to chime in and just say, hey, you know what, you did this, I didn't appreciate this, and of course it's up to the man now to say, well, you know what, you're right. Me, no, I'm the type of guy that I would just be like, you know what, you're right. I'm sorry. Maybe I should have overlooked things, or maybe I said something wrong, didn't make you feel a certain way, stuff like that. But we gotta have that conversation because how am I gonna know what's going on?
Let me respond to the why we don't say it, because it was said before, and we're gonna be repetitive, repeating the same thing. You may see it as a fly by night. Okay, get over it. But we still vex. And not everybody vexation comes down at the same time. Some people have to work through it. But 9 times out of the 10, the men who think they're the fixers figure if you talk about it, it's resolved. No, it wasn't resolved. The issue is still there. You're still doing the same thing. And like Kima said, you don't want to sound like a nag and be repetitive and telling you the same thing over and over and over again, because the first time was a mistake. The second time it was planned. You actually decided to do the same thing we discussed last week. So sometimes you have to look at the actual issue. She vexed because of the same thing that I did last week. You may think it's the same thing, but you didn't do it as bad. It was a little bit less. I mean, you think you learned your lesson. But I think a lot of it, the time is that you don't want to sound like a nag. I'm telling you the same problem we had last week on May 1st at 2:30. It's the same problem we're having today at 4:45.
You got specifics. You come with specifics, boy. Okay.
Because we have that kind of memory. We have things that stay in our memory that's momentous. Like we remember things like, you did this same thing, and you wouldn't remember the date or the time, but we remember because we know it was a problem. And not saying what's wrong is because we're going to sound repetitive. We're having the same problem again.
But what if it's something different, though? I mean, I just think I'm just trying to figure out, is that even healthy in a relationship? I mean,
Luis, you're doing the same thing why women don't talk. You're doing exactly why we don't shut up and we don't just let things go, because you get 2 perspectives and you ain't hear not one perspective. And Nicole said that's one of the reasons why we don't shut up, because you don't listen to solve the problem. Your agenda is to tell us we need to change.
Well, first of all, I'm trying to get everyone's perspective, and thanks for yours. You just kind of chime in. I really appreciate that. I want to get everyone's perspective. How about that?
Okay.
So I'm glad what you said. I'm glad, and that's actually, I like what you said, because yes, I'm going to still pierce because I want to know more. I just feel that I want to know, is this actually healthy for the relationship? I mean, at some point you gotta come a level with me so that we could just kind of.
No, it's not. It's very unhealthy.
Something. Sorry, let Gigi respond, please.
Well, I think so. I think it's 2 things for me. Sometimes it's because We done had the conversation already. You know what you did, and you know doing it again pissed me off. And then I ain't saying anything because I'll be repeating myself, and you know exactly what it is that you did, and you know why I'm mad. So why we need to? It's not that I'm dragging it on. I'm mad. So give me a minute to get over my little hot feelings or whatever is preventing me from being able to communicate with you until I get over it. So it's not that I ain't want to talk. I'm mad. You know.
Well, I'm hearing this. I'm hearing the same thing over and over about the male being the individual that's actually causing you to be upset. What if it's about? It could be anything else. It could be something at work. You come home and with an attitude. It could be none that I did, and you just choose not to discuss. And it's So how does that
And the
how do we
problem is
play that
deeper
out?
than the problem isn't you. The problem is communication. You guys have poor communication. Because if I have a bad day at work, the first person I gonna want to tell is the person I'm coming home to. And sometimes I'm not telling you my problem because I need for you to solve it, which men naturally want to solve every problem you have. Sometimes I just need to vent. I just need to cuss because I can't really, cuss in the people in place, professional place. But I just need somebody to hear me. And sometimes you just need somebody to hear you. You don't need somebody
Right.
to solve the problem, come up with a strategic plan, or come up with a solution. I just need to vent and get it off my chest. So if I cannot come home and vent to you, then that means we have a communication problem.
Right.
So the issue is not me holding in. The issue is that we can't communicate. So
Right.
it's a big problem.
I agree because I believe life
Good
happens.
point,
And
Karen. Good
yeah,
point.
I agree. Life happens, and of course, we always talk about having conversation, but life happens in relationships, and things do happen. You know, what I mean, there's certain expectations that you have as a female in a relationship, and of course, when things go south for whatever reason, or like I said, if you come home and something's bothering you, it may not even be work. It could be just again the societal norms that we have, and you just don't want to come home and just deal with stuff. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on with you, and you choose not to tell me. That's a good point, Karen, because of the communication, the lack of communication in the relationship. So that in itself definitely plays a role. Cameron, you want to say something? Or Gigi, go ahead. You would say
I
something.
also want to say in response to what Karen says, sometimes we don't want you to be that devil's advocate to help us understand why our position wrong. We just want you to listen, and sometimes we want you to say, I hear you, even if you know I wrong, right?
Mhm.
That
So
is what I
that's the next thing.
not the time to tell me why I should not be upset. Let me
Yeah,
get
but
to
and the thing is, we're not
Did you
looking
touch
for
on a
somebody
good
to
point?
fix
Did you
it.
touch on a good point? Even though you're wrong, you want to be wrong and strong. I
No,
still
I want to be right and strong, but let me get an opportunity to just be in my emotions. And then, because if we're in a relationship together, you know that, okay, let her just calm down a minute, and then she's going to be able to rationalize this. But in the heat of that moment, I may not tell you because I know you're going to come with why I wrong. I don't want to hear that at that time. So I ain't going to have the conversation.
again, that's going back to my saying. We know why you're wrong, but you still want to be wrong and strong.
I want
because
to
You want to process. You want to process.
Yeah, let me
You
process.
want your time to process.
Yeah, and then you can come back and say, "Oh, I think you should not tell your supervisor that, or maybe that's not the way you should have handled that." And then I may be in a better space to hear it. But at that moment, when you see I'm mad and I'm doing the crazy stuff that I am quite capable of doing, let me just vent and be there in that moment.
Wow, crazy stuff. So I guess it's like sell to my way, that kind of thing.
No, just don't try to fix it. Just
Don't
fix
try to
it.
fix it.
Yeah,
Don't try to fix it.
Let you be. Let me flip this around though, and I know we talked about the men that last week, but what if you come home and your mate now has decided to he talking to you what's going on? How would you attempt to fix that? Again, I know communication is key. Communication is key, but like we say, the shoes on the other foot. What do you do about that? How do you address that?
You ask him if he wants to talk about it. Not everything they want to talk about. You say, hey, you want to talk about what's bothering you? And if they say no, you respect that. Because not everything needs to be spoken. They just need to sit. Not everybody can communicate verbally and feel good. Like I would just like to vent and cuss and act like you're the person I'm cursing at. But the first thing you would do is just ask, do you want to talk about it? If they say no, it's cool. Bring them a bowl of ice cream and sit down and watch a movie and just let them.
A bowl of ice cream.
Not a
Louis,
cup, a bowl.
I'm married. At this group, I guess I still married, right? And I'll tell you this. I could be in my house and I in one room and my husband in another room. I good. And sometimes that's all you need. You know that the person is there if you need them, but you don't necessarily want to be in the same space with them.
You know, I understand all the responses, and I think they're really cool. But for me, I think the best part about you know, getting or bringing resolve is the making up part of it. I think when you come together, that's magic. But Pinky, I ain't hearing from you as much. So I want to hear something from you. Let me hear something from Pinky, because I know Pinky
going
just
to chime in eventually. You know, I was breathing. I was chime in, right? So it's Karen is what you say, Kima is what you say, and Gigi is what you say. It's all of them. And to add into that, it's also what Gigi was saying. The thing about it is, if you had a difficult day outside with your friends, with your family, you come home, what you're looking for is actual support from your mate. Correct. Yeah, you might be wrong. Maybe you were angry and you said the wrong thing and you're angry. So you don't need nobody pointing the finger to tell you how you make so much of a mistake. So what you're looking for is support. Like Gigi said, some time to deal with the issue, because sometimes we ourselves know, well, I could have handled that the better. You sure don't want your mate down your throat telling you that you should have handled the situation better.
Well, what I was about to say, what if I am giving you the support? Maybe it's a type of support that I'm presenting that you don't want, because like everybody's saying they just want to be left alone. I guess that's the support you're referring to. That's why you need your space, because my coming to you and trying to be that person and be supportive, I guess, is actually not what you want to hear or not what you want.
Or not at the time. But it goes both ways. It goes both ways, like you said, Luis, because I have been in that situation with my late husband, and I've been in that situation with my children, and I have girls and boys. And my kids used to tell me, well, mommy, I don't want to hear, like, okay, if they had a swim meet and they had a bad swim, they don't want me telling them, well, you know, you dive in wrong and you shoulda. You know, they used to be like, mommy, you could just be supportive knowing that I trained all week. I gave my best. Okay. And I had to learn to shut my mouth. And that's another side that I was getting to. Because in relationship is how we deal with anger. Everybody don't deal with things the same way. And at the end of it, we have to look at the other person and decide, well, hey, she don't like to talk when she's angry. Why is that? We don't know. Maybe we might never know. Maybe she don't know how to articulate when she's angry. I'm terrible when I'm angry, and I don't say the worst things when I'm angry, so let me not talk. My mother used to say, if you ain't got nothing good to say, shut your mouth.
I agree.
Okay, so and I learned that valuable lesson. And I tell my children, if you ain't got nothing good to say, shut your mouth. Because if we watch angry situations that escalate into some ugly situations, the last thing I want to say is just men and women to approach life differently. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, teach me a lot. And I only read mostly a couple chapters. I didn't even get through the whole book, but the first chapter had me blown away. I was like, how I didn't know all of this? And I read this after Vincent passed away. And I was like, how I didn't know all of this from before? It made sense. It made the most, because men do approach life differently and women do approach life differently. And I think if we could get to that understanding, then we will know why women are shut down and why men want to resolve the situation right away.
Well, that's true. I mean, our very composition are different in so many ways. So yes, we are. We all belong to the human race, but we are individuals. We're different. I mean, men and women by far different. What is that about?
Sorry, I just wanted to highlight something that Bobby said. He said men are problem solvers, and you never give a man a problem that you never expect us to solve. With that said, you have to tell us up front that you want us to listen only, and tell us what you want us to hear.
I see Bobby put only and I is here in caps. Why? He just gained that message across.
We don't want to have, we're not grown man. We don't want to have to tell you, listen, right now you have to listen. You know your partner.
You should.
Your role right now is to listen. I shouldn't have to tell you.
Yeah,
No, that's for the child.
Yeah, and I don't want pieces. Just tell me what you got said. That's what I did with it from jump. I don't want pieces of the story. I just want to know exactly. Tell me what it is going on.
Okay, Louis.
Let's get to this. Let's bring resolve to this. Whatever.
And that's one of the things. Sorry, that's one of the things that I say. If you are in a relationship that you want to prosper and you want to grow, at the end of the day, if you know that this ends up being a problem, I'm a problem solver. I hate to live in a problem. So the thing is, there has to be an understanding. I remember when we had Miss Edith and Mr. Leroy on, and he said that he has the boom boom room. And she knows when she see him going to boom boom room, I mean, he wants to be by himself. And so I think it's about respect for the other person and understanding. And I think if you give that person the time, again, we all talked about women are emotional and all that. You give people the time to like decompress. And then when they're ready, be there to listen, for them to vent. And again, once you get to know your partner, is this something they want you to solve, or is this something that they just want you to listen?
But
So
let me
I
say
think it's
something.
being in tune with your partner.
But let me say something. How did they arrive at that point? How did they get to that point to know that? Again, this starts at the beginning of the relationship with having those conversations. Look, we need to set some parameters. Know that if this is what's going on, this is going to be my reaction. And if you see me and I need this space, then this is what's happening. And I think that works both ways for both men and women. Set these parameters up front. You know what I mean?
You ain't gonna set all the parameters, Louis. Some things
but no, because I understand that. But
error,
and I get
in
that
a relationship.
I get that. But if you tell me, listen, when you see me acting a certain way, this is what's going on, then I would know how to move in that direction. I would know how to move with you. Or again, I would know how to handle that.
But that weakens you. That weakens your muscles, because at the end of the day, then you don't. Somebody said it last. I think it was Karen who said, there is some things that's on the job training. You cannot get all the information from the textbook or in the classroom. You got to go out there. You got to experience life, and you have to learn from experiences. So I know that will make your life so much easier, you may think, but then it wouldn't, because it wouldn't strengthen your muscle to pay attention to the needs and the wishes of your partner. And space, Debbie said it. We need space. People think that space, and Gigi also said it.
We all need space, men and women. My thing is,
exactly.
if we're going to keep going in this direction, at what point are we going to bring any resolve to this? Something has to give at some point.
Well, that's what Debbie said that made me realize that space thing, and Gigi said a space thing too, with her husband and her being in two separate rooms. But Debbie said when she talked about Mr. Leroy, because men have their caves. Most of the men that I know, their garages, their caves. So they go to these places where they need to decompress, where they need to deal with life and the stresses and the emotions. And we as women, we should know our place, and we shouldn't come in there nagging, oh, talk to me. I know you had a hard day. It could go both ways, yeah.
Right. Well, like I said, the best part about all of this is the making up. So, hey, that's something to look forward to,
The gray shot. But anyhow, go ahead.
I wanted to reiterate, and I think Nicole is touching on it in her comment, is that, back to the relationship, when you're in a one-on-one relationship and you're dealing with stuff, it's okay. It's you against the world when you're dealing with one thing after another, However, the problem comes when you're dealing with the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah, because Nicole said, no, it's not healthy if it's the same mistake keeps happening.
Interesting enough. All right, so we're going to move forward, and the next question is actually kind of similar, kind of along those lines with regards to, along the lines of expressing yourselves. Women having a hard time, or difficult time rather, expressing themselves with regards to their needs and desires in a relationship. And also, how do you women feel about expressing your fantasies? Take your time with this one. Let's go over this one. How do you feel about expressing your fantasies with your mate? And do you express your fantasies? And I want each one of you, again, take your time. Let's go with this. I'm going to start with Karen. Let's go. We're going to start from the top.
When you say how do we feel, do we just recite them, set them front and
Whatever, however you choose to communicate that to your partner, do you do that? Do you express your fantasies and things that you may want to do in the relationship, and how does that look?
It's like a condition of employment. You should have
You
fantasies.
always with this HR approach, and I noticed that with you.
Well,
That's what
I
she
can't
is.
talk about being a doctor, but it is true. Like,
Separate work from life, or work from everyday life.
It's understood that we're going to have fantasies. Because if I ask you what's your greatest fantasies and you tell me no, it's a lot of things that can mean. Either you're narrow-minded, small-minded, or you don't have an imagination. So I want to know that you have a fantasy. Even if it's small, I don't think nobody don't have a fantasy. So when I start to communicate with somebody, that's one of the questions I ask as a part of my dating, profile is, what is your greatest fantasy? What is your wildest fantasy that you would read? Like for me, I'll say, my wildest fantasy, I would like to be a stripper, like, Nicki Minaj booty stripper coming on the pole and the flag and everything. But I think if somebody tells me that they don't, I don't have any fantasies. No,
So you would so now wait a minute, wait, hold up. So you would actually, that's interesting. So one of your fantasies you're saying right now is that you would like to do the little stripper thing. And you know what? And let me say this though. I don't want to make it sound degrading, because pole dancing is an art. And women actually go and train for this to enhance their relationship. So I don't want women out there to feel that stripping is, have a sort of a negative kind of vibe to it. It doesn't. This is something that actually you can do to enhance. I'm going to tell you this. If I come home, I see my lady and the place is out. I mean, I've got mood and everything going on, and I see she just twirling up from the ceiling. That's it. It's on.
With a whole disco ball, I want the disco ball, everything. I want the disco ball, the way you call it. I want the pole, I want the rope, I want everything.
Pole dancing is extremely exotic.
All right, Luis, you said it a couple times. I can't finish the question.
Pinky, by the way, Karen, you're going to get your turn.
But it goes back to.
Go ahead, Karen.
It goes back to being comfortable with having fantasies. And I just see it as, if I ask somebody, what is your fantasy? And he tells me nothing. It's almost equivalent to a person walking with their two hands to their side and they ain't swinging. Dynamo. So you should, I think everybody should, no matter how big or small, but then it tells you a lot about the person. It tells you, does that person have an imagination? It tells you if that person is dead serious and use a comic. I mean, we ain't gonna mix. It tells you a lot about that person's character. So somebody being able to be comfortable enough for you to tell you their greatest, even as wild as it is, I think it tells a lot. It's not just about the fantasy, but it's the ability to have it, and it's the ability to share it. Are they willing to be comfortable enough to tell you, this is my fantasy, and not be judged? I mean, you could get as deep as that person. Huh?
That's a good answer.
Go ahead, Kemma. There's this big taboo. Everybody's in church. You shouldn't be that way. You got to be prim and proper. And
no, we're raised in the church now. Yeah.
And it's not even about the church. Some people just don't. Some people just don't have that imagination. Some people just don't have an imagination.
You know what? There's some women who have gone their entire lives without having an orgasm. I don't know. They don't even know the anatomy of themselves because they were never taught to look at themselves. Check yourself.
You mean when you say they don't know the anatomy of themselves, you mean you don't know how certain parts of the anatomy work? Because I mean, you gotta know your body, you gotta know yourself. So you're saying that they just don't know what to do to enhance? Is that what it is?
There's some older women who said, they were taught never to explore. They just wash and that's it. And so as far as bringing fantasies to the table, there's all this taboo. There's this fear of being scorned and judged, but What woman is going to be judged by a man in the room and she's the only other woman in the room? He's not going to judge her. He's going to listen and he's going to participate.
All right.
You know, you're not telling your fantasies to, you know, the world. And we talked about it. Pinky said, I rigid.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to Pinky in a minute. I want Gigi to go ahead and chime in on this, please.
So let me answer the question. So the question was, do we have fantasies? I will say yes. Women have fantasies.
Well, not just that you have fantasies, but how do you communicate that, and do you communicate that?
For me, and I'm gonna be upfront. You know, I grew up in an age where, and at a time where it was seen as something that you don't just talk about. You know, and so for me, I actually had to get to that level where I was comfortable with my spouse to say, well, this is what I like, and this is what I would like to, and be able to be in that space to share what my fantasies are. And so I just think it comes with maturity, it comes with time, it comes with building the strength of the relationship. Because if you in some fly-by-night relationship, you're not going to open up and share with somebody who can then, you know, and we're in the social media age. You take the information, and next thing you know, this all over social media, how Gigi like to do this, and that or the other. You're not going to have that open conversation with somebody that you're not in an exclusive, committed relationship with. So I think it grows with time and it grows with comfort. And I do think it's our age, my age. I ain't going to say our age, my age.
Wait, Gigi, I'm sorry. Kema said she begs to differ. You want to kind of expound on that for me, please? Expound on that for me, please.
Well, it can go both ways. You know, some women need to be comfortable with one. Others could care less. Maybe they're hopping. Maybe they're dating and they're like, well, I'm not going to see this guy no more. So I'm going to just be my best. I'm going to do my best and make it memorable. I'm going to ask for what I want, and he can take it or leave it. But I'm not going to hold out. I'm not going to be shy, you know.
Oh, Kema.
That's a free spirit. You have your free spirit, and then you have your, you know.
Yeah, and I do agree that there are women like that. And I think even this new generation is really even more liberal than the one in which I grew up in. Yes. And you can see it even just in how women dress and right. the way we view our bodies. You know, we were very much more conservatively dressed. We, you know, acted a whole lot more conservative. Now, you right. know, anything goes. And again, right. this is just, again, generalizing a statement. There's always exceptions to that.
Right.
You know,
I agree with Gigi. Like I agree with Gigi. I think access has a lot to do with that. Access to information, access to being exposed to a lot from an earlier age in this time than when we were growing up. We remember these .comers, we didn't have that. Mm-hmm. Everything was at the fingertips.
But we were still we must increase our bus. That's what we were doing back in my day.
Well, wait, I missed that. What was that about the bus?
You teach me that? I tell Debbie about that. She was like, she remember that. It's exercise.
For me, Judy Bloom had a book, and she'd be in the mirror and she just do her hands back and forth and say, we must increase our bus. And that's how
I didn't do that exercise. I guess I wanted the mood to increase the bus back then. I didn't want no more weight on me. But
that was recommended reading in junior high. It was,
really?
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Let's hear Pinky's take on this about
expressing.
One second,
Louis. Wait, Karen wanted to say something.
Sure.
I wanted to piggyback off of what Kema says in conjunction to what Gigi says. This is a whole new era. And having fantasies nowadays is almost like having a club name. Like when you go to the club, you have a whole different name. Mine is Sasha.
Well,
and
Sasha Fierce.
Just a whole different person. That what is it? Alter ego? That's what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody. Okay. I mean, I think everybody should have a club name. I mean, and I stick to my club name so I don't forget it. And it's the same name of my car, so it kind of coincide. You have to tell the
Nope.
lie as close
Note
to
to self, I need to get myself a club
Right.
name. But go ahead.
So having fantasies, you have to have the same mindset of having a fantasy. It's like having a club name. You have to weigh out fantasy for that person that will ask you, oh, so what's your fantasy? And you don't make it up. You just have set fantasies for set people. Just like if you have a set name to when you go to the club, I Sasha, I have my little government name, but it's no longer a taboo to have a fantasy. It's like something normal. It's like if you have a Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, having a fantasy has to be like this. You can't make it up. You just have to have it like this. So once upon a time, it was seen as, if you have a fantasy, you're a freak. No. Nowadays, if you have a fantasy, it's normal. It's like you having a cold. You should have it. So it should be something, and that's to tell you how comfortable you are with it. Like me, I have certain fantasies that's applicable to certain people. Certain fantasies, some fantasies are made for impression. Some fantasies are made to raise an eyebrow. But if you don't take it seriously to the point where, you think that person judging your character, you're like, to what? But for me, that's me personally.
And Louis, you don't need no club name because you are a guy. Again, it's two different standards.
I don't know what rules. I don't know how this works, so I gotta help you with this one.
Because
you don't need no club name.
You could be the freak and it's acceptable. A female.
So I just tell me what's your name? I'm the freak. That's it.
No, you just gonna be Louis, and it's fine.
Okay.
What you do is find out where your name. But a woman, we need an alter ego.
Apparently, you guys.
My alter ego is Trinia. That's it. That's all I got. Me ain't got no other alter ego. Pinky or Trinia. That's it. I got two names. Okay. When I done the show, I'm Pinky. In the real world, I'm Trinia. Okay, so hey, I got my alter ego.
All right, Pinky. Let me hear what Pinky got to say about this now.
I found old school. I was raised by old school people. I don't think my mother is, because my mother used to tease me and say she didn't know where she get me from. But I think I was old school. I mean, we were raised churchy, you were raised churchy. So for me, I never had a fantasy. When I was married, I ain't had no fantasy. Yeah, like sorry, Kima, sorry, Karen. And I like this panel because this panel we have both sides of the spectrum. And that's what's important because we need to know you got different people. If your fantasy, Kima, is multiples, I say go for it.
Multiples, you said. I don't think Kema said that, but
I don't think Kema said that either, but I have to exaggerate to make a point. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
You knock yourself out with that. Okay, just
sorry, Kema, I had to exaggerate on you, but Karen, Miss Sasha Fierce over there. I mean, if she want to, look, Karen, if you want to swing, I got some vaulted ceiling. If you want to come here and pour a zip line at on, zip down,
from the chandelier. I do it myself from the chandelier.
I know my chandelier gonna come down, and I know it's gonna be an awful sight at the end of the day. So Pinky even going there with them kind of things.
But Pinky, let me ask you this now. So this was then. What about now?
Okay, so now it has changed because Trina has now.
What has changed that?
Pinky. Now we got to Pinky, not Trinia. Yeah, alter ego. Pinky is different now because Pinky has grown up, and Pinky was her mind has been allowed to open up and see life differently. Because when I was younger and when I was married, to me it was like ladies don't behave a certain way, ladies don't think that way. Pinky don't think that way. Alter ego, Pinky don't think that way. So let me just put that out there. And have I ever shared it with anybody? No, I have never shared because maybe Debbie. Sorry, Debbie might have shared. I might have shared that with Debbie, but I've never had anyone to share that with. So I've never shared no fantasies with no guys. And so for me, that would be a big step, and that would take a lot of courage for me to open up and actually admit to a guy that I have a fantasy and actually share it. So that's another part to this Pinky story.
Well, that's the question. You're not sure if you will do that. What would actually get you to that point? There's so many different things, so many different levels. What would get you to that point if you want to actually share that with somebody? Like what's the criteria? It's
like Gigi said, you have to build a relationship, and then you have to build a trust. And I mean, I'm not as open. You know, Kima don't tell everybody that I got my issues. Kima, I could joke with you because me and you don't joke a lot. So, you know, I gonna joke with you. But at the end of the day, I still trying to move out of these very conservative ways of thinking, but they exist. You know, you can't have all these years, you know, of conservative thinking and just change overnight. But you know, it would take trust, and it would take me being comfortable with the person, having a relationship, you know, for some time to be able to build the courage to do something like that.
Well, I think that way of thinking isn't a problem because that's what actually keeps you grounded. You know what I mean? You need to be grounded at some point and figure out this is home, so let me stay in this frame of mind, but I can venture out in these areas. So I think that's probably, you know,
and it's okay because the problem is we don't venture when we don't think it's okay to venture. You know what I mean? Like if I was in a mindset like, oh God, no, a woman can't think, a woman shouldn't, a woman, of course I wouldn't venture there, but it starts in the mind, and the mind is open. And so that's a good place to start, you know? So part two.
Yeah. I want to also comment on what Kema said about women not knowing their bodies. And I think that's part of this discussion about our fantasies, because it's not always a fantasy. It's just even being able to communicate what makes you feel good, what it is that stimulates you sexually, well, what makes you satisfied. And you have to be able to, if that person hasn't figured it out on their own, to say, well, hey, this is what I like, or this is what is a stimulation for me, and being comfortable to share that with whomever you are with.
Let me add to that, though. That's assuming that your mate doesn't know. Is this because, I mean, if...
Right, that's what I said. Or telling them what else may...
in addition to, right. Yeah. Okay.
Your body may respond to
I got a problem with a man not knowing, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Well, you as a woman,
I can only speak for myself.
I like this, you know, or this is what I like. This is what I enjoy. You know, sometimes as women, and as the conservative and the older women, you know, you may be in a relationship to satisfy your man, but you clearly can express to him also what satisfies you. Because if you're in a good relationship, your man wants to know what it is he can do to make your pleasure equal or just as satisfying.
You just mentioned something about wanting to satisfy your man. Let me ask the ladies, let me ask you guys, is this your aim? And how does this work in a relationship? Because shouldn't it be both parties wanting to satisfy? Like that should be the aim of each individual, right? But you have in some situations where women, that's like their sole focus. But what about yourself? Don't you yourself want to have some pleasure? I mean...
Wait a minute.
Let me say something about that, because earlier, in one of the comments, Shelly Bums made like a good point, and also Leslie Highfield Carter, that a lot of this comes up even as we are raised. Women are kind of raised to support and be there for your mate, your children, whomever. And so I think we're in an era where women are starting to understand, and Cece always talks about self-care, self-love, that it's not selfish to think about yourself. And I think that's why the generations behind us are able to express themselves a lot better, because, you know, that's not being beaten into them. You know what I'm saying? And so I think for us at this stage in our life, who have conducted ourselves a certain way because of the way we were raised and what was fed into us culturally, you know, just, and it's not just cultural, as a gender, what's been fed to us, you always think about taking care of that other person and you don't think about yourself. So you have to break that norm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we are in the world that we live in today.
I want to add to that by saying this. About 5 years ago, you know, I like to tell stories because get a story, the point across. 5 years ago, I remember when I was starting this journey of self-love and appreciation, and I was doing some, I don't know, exercise, meditation or whatever, and a friend wanted me to do something. And I told them I couldn't do it because I had some stuff that I was doing that was taking care of me. Now, I didn't say it like that, but I was like, I can't do that because I have to maybe, let's say, exercise or pray at a certain time, whatever. And then my friend actually responded to me by saying, I understand there has to be time where you have to be selfish. And I said to her, I was like, that's not being selfish. That's me taking care of myself. Well, yeah, I guess so. But, there come time where, and we have to we don't hear this not just from the culture, but we don't also hear it from other women. And they have also shaped us. So yes, the older ones and the younger ones. So now we're telling our younger ones something different. We are. But what was told to us and what been told to us, like Kima, you were saying, there were older women that never had orgasms, don't know anything about their bodies. And they were taught that way. You know what I mean? They were taught that if they touch themselves, they want to exactly. When we were doing some show, I was looking at something.
When you said touch yourself, is it touch yourself in a certain manner? Because you got bait.
They say if you touch yourself, you're gonna go to hell. No, that seed planted in your mind gonna go all over. That's a vine. I was watching a video when we were doing one show about, I don't know, the pornography or whatever. And the pastor was like, if you do masturbation, you're going straight to hell. And I was like, wow. These are the seeds that is planted in our minds, right? And you trying to be the good girl, you trying to do the right thing. What are you going to do, right? If you're in a culture, if you're in an environment, if you're in a church, what are you going to do? What are you going to believe? It'll take something to break you out of those beliefs. So I understand it, and I see how we as women today. So when a woman says she never had a fantasy, I could relate because I never had one either. But then I could appreciate Kim and Karen, and I could appreciate the women who said they can, and they express it. I appreciate Karen wanting to swing from the chandelier because now in my mind, I feeling free. I could say, wow, okay, I could go that far because trust me, mine was not that far. It wasn't, no. It wasn't even a fantasy. No, I think about it.
I want to bring up something that we're not really touching upon, but it's so close. Just having the experience, whether you're planning to get married or not. We have the men who, when they get married, they've had all this experience. They didn't say, I'm going to wait till marriage to lose my virginity.
But that's the expectation. That's not necessarily the norm. Because what about the men, like what Pinky talking about, being brought up in the church now? With that mindset.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm asking the question. I am clearly.
You used
those that know me. Those that know me know I'm not like that. But go ahead.
And then we have the women who say, "Well, I'm going to wait till marriage, till I get married, and I'm going to be my husband's first, or my husband's going to be my first." And so, as far as being able to express your fantasies to your spouse in that situation, that scenario, it's harder for the woman to express her fantasy because she don't know what, he can say, well, yeah, let me show you what I know, and then even if, well, there was a comment that I heard. It said, well, it's not premarital sex if you ain't getting married, right? I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
No,
but Kima, you're laughing about it, but I actually believed it and bought into it. So you had to make an excuse that you're not sinning. So I did buy into that. Yeah.
I want to read. I can't see the names of the people that are commenting, but Debbie, I want us to get into some commentary. I don't know if you're able to do that. I mean, I can read, but I can't. Like I said, I can't hear you, Debbie.
Nilomi made a comment. If you can see the comment that you want to read, I can tell you who did it. But Nilomi had a comment that said you can communicate, because we kind of like drifted off of that. Are you able to communicate this to your significant other, partner, husband, wife, whatever? You can communicate, but sometimes they're not really listening and paying attention to what makes you feel good.
And
Get rid of the partner. Get rid of the partner.
sometimes
Step
it's
to the
not that
next.
easy.
According to Gigi, step to the next. We
Well,
talked about
Well,
that.
I said because, and I think Louis, I can't see a man not wanting to hear a woman tell him what it is she wants. You know, because I think men are more free spirit than women. They're willing to try it. If this is what you want, let me go for it.
Let's
You know,
go
you
for it. Let's
But
do
there
this.
is a factor here, Gigi, that men don't want the wife to explore certain things because they don't want to open up their wife's appetite. They don't want their wives, some men don't want their wives looking nice. They don't want them wearing makeup. They don't want them wearing lingerie. They don't want them to feel good about themselves. And that's an insecurity on the man. We're not saying, but it does exist. It does.
I'm sorry. I don't know anything about that.
And
I
that's
want it all. I want her to do it all because I'm gonna be right there with her doing it. But go right
that
ahead,
goes
Karen.
back to Louise. That goes back to Louise's main thing, communication. Like for me, it's a conversation that you need to have established. Even if you have to find out what's their sexual appetite, what they like to do, what they don't like to do, you know, how much wrongs they could go. Ask the question, because I'm buying no cat in no bag. You know, my mother didn't buy no cat in no bag. I want to
ask
know,
people how much wrongs they could go, Karen. I had to stop that. I had to stop.
Yes. No, of course, Pinky. Yes. Listen.
Because
let me just say this about it.
You have to operate on a methodology that if I ain't get mine, you ain't get yours. I mean, we gonna get it together. I have to know if I'm not satisfied, you're gonna do what you have to do to make sure we go wrong 2 and 3. So it's up to you, but you need to set that pace from the jump, because I don't want to wait 2 days down the line to find out that you got to take a little blue pill.
Let me say this. Sorry, somebody I can't tell who it is, but Debbie, you need to please.
That's
Wanda.
That's Wanda.
Lord, she says, Lord, my husband just told me he wanted to jump my bones every night.
That's Wanda, right? That's Wanda.
That's normal. That's normal. I think that's normal in a marriage.
That's not normal, Louis. That's not normal.
Gigi, go ahead, Gigi. I didn't hear you. Go ahead, Gigi.
I said she's lucky he didn't say morning and night.
You see? There you go.
But then again, now we're dealing with a age factor here too, because I hear what you're saying, Karen, and I with you. But guess what? When you get married when you're young, in your early 20s, nobody don't understand these dynamics about no wrongs and blah, blah, blah. And if you wait till you was married, and you know there is different.
Wait, I gotta stop you, Pinky. Wait, I gotta stop you, Pinky. Stop.
In our time, or you talking about people in their 20s getting married now?
Again, I like the platform because there's so many different experiences, but we got to remember, it got people coming from all sorts of backgrounds. You know what I'm saying? Religious backgrounds.
Let me say this, Pinky. I think anyone at 20 performed 10 times more than they are at 50. So know that.
Yeah.
Know that. I mean, if I could still perform like I was 20, are you kidding me?
But I'll tell you this, Louis.
Well, we actually have things that could help with that, but go ahead.
Women who have children, we get caught up in raising children and doing this, doing that.
Life happens. Yes.
Life happens. And you're surprised that when we get rid of the children, now we're ready to play.
Yes.
And so our clock has changed from the men's clock.
I tried that.
Because now you're looking for you're looking for those younger cats, because
No, we don't want to trade in a we ain't trying to trade.
You talking about a marriage. Okay, I'm just talking about. Okay,
I guess maybe it's just stored up energy from the years we were raising our children.
That's where the term cougar comes from, I think.
But Gigi, I tried it and I get catch again.
Sorry. I guess that's the dilemma.
That is the dilemma.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
Bobby says CMOS works wonders, brothers. And Wanda, he said, then sis strengthen them bones.
Look, let me tell you, I had a friend who was getting her dude CMAS and it won't walk in. So I gone with that. She was putting the little stuff in the little drink to get it revved up and it didn't work. So, let me just say, age is a factor.
Sometimes people need more than CMOS.
Yeah.
They need other enhancements, or they just need to be healthier in their bodies to help them as well. So
I said a health issue is the most important thing. What will we eat? What will we drink? All of this, you will have a healthy life. I mean, I hear people who are healthy up in the
attest to that. I can attest to that because I got.
That's Imani.
That was killing.
I'm afraid of it because I've heard stories where people end up dying in the activity and then ambulance got common. It's a very awful situation to think about.
Let me say this from a male perspective.
Just be healthy, please.
Let me say this from a male perspective about being healthy, because that is true. It is all about blood flow. So I definitely could understand that. That's what really sustains an erection. Let's be honest here. We're all adults. And again, this is from a male perspective. And I possibly could attest to that because I know when I had my issue and I have my new parts in my heart now, my blood flow is amazing. And I mean, it definitely shows. It's such a difference from then and now. And that definitely plays a role. And even the CMAS and all of that good stuff, all those natural, remedies, is just an addition. But I mean, the blood flow is important. And that has to do with being healthy, Pinky, because your diet plays a role, exercise plays a role. All these different things are important with regard to maintaining a healthy sexual drive.
Good oxygen, good blood flow. Mm-hmm.
So let's get into. I know we kind of time is and Debbie, this was gonna happen, but
I know
because we're already at like an hour and that was only 2 questions, but I have some more. And that's okay.
Louise, before you go, because I want to just close up that last section with the quote. The brain is the largest sexual organ.
That could open a whole lot of discussion, so I'm going to let that be a closing comment. Go ahead. Because remember, we had a conversation about whether or not you can engage in physical activity with your mate when you're mad.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that, Gigi. Let's talk about that.
Well,
let's talk about that.
The brain.
Well, remember, when you're mad, your blood is flowing.
The brain is your biggest sexual organ.
Yep.
Well, when my brain mad, nothing else go up.
No, that's oil and water. That ain't got nothing to do with each other. You vex, you get over it, but this activity has nothing. That's like drinking water and drinking soda. I have nothing to do with each other.
But like Kemba just said, the brain, when you're vexed, you're getting blood flow. So we
start to meditate. Do the little.
But this goes back to the making up. That's the best part, man.
You meditate, you get out of that zone for 2-3 minutes, however long you want to do it. And then you could sleep on the couch, you could be vexed all you want, but that has nothing to do with.
Well, all I could say about potential energy, I's just like Gigi, but I'm going to use the science on that. All I'm going to say, I's like Gigi. When I'm mad, I just leave me alone. But the thing about anger is it has a lot of explosive anger. Anger has potential energy in it. It's very explosive. So I could see it from the scientific perspective, very explosive. There'll be a lot of, it's fire. So maybe I have not had the experience. If I'm mad, don't touch me. So I don't know. I don't hear learning.
Okay, let's talk about the science and this blood flow and all of this thing you're talking about, right? And I could appreciate that Karen said it is oil and water, but for some people, at least for me, it's not oil and water because how do I mentally engage in this activity? Because for me, it's a whole emotional.
I was just gonna say that.
Yes. Thing. It's emotional and your body responds based on your mental, physical involvement in this activity. So how do I get to participate when I'm not? I can't.
So you coming from an emotional space, Gigi. Gigi coming from an emotional space with this. Karen, you're not.
Right.
It's physical and it's emotional. It's physical
Gigi
and
coming
it's
from a
emotional.
deeper, Gigi coming from a deeper emotional space. You understand, Karen? You're talking about just tuning out for a minute, gain that
And,
groove
and it
on.
has to do, and I have to do with emotions. I can emotionally
Well,
separate the physical from the mental. You can separate that.
It's
I can
not that
feel
it's
it.
not
I think Gigi
emotional,
coming from a
Karen.
deeper space. I think Gigi coming from a deeper space, though.
No, what the difference
My
between
body
with
can't respond.
Yeah, yeah.
the difference between Gigi and Karen is this: sex could be physical, or it could be a connection. And sometimes for some people, they know how to make the physical and the
Connection.
together. Some people know how to do that. Some people cannot turn off one from the other. And that's just the difference. Some people could see it as both. Some people could see it as one.
But you're forgetting
That's
it as a release. You know, it's
Again, there's a lot of
connection,
energy
it's
there.
a
Yeah.
connection, it's emotional, and it's a release. You know,
But
Something that allows you
so
to
is
release that
running.
frustration.
So it's running. So you could run it off. You could run off the anger too. You could scream it off. There's a whole lot of way to get that anger out of you. But I guess that would be the most pleasurable way to get it out.
I would not want my physical, my sexual connection with my spouse to be a matter of habit, if you will. So this is what we do every night. So we're gonna do this regardless of how we feel emotionally. So for me, it's not that satisfaction of a physical need. It's or a habit that, you know, this is a schedule or whatever. No, it's all wrapped up in everything. So when I'm mad, you know,
sex is not a makeup tool. Sex is not a makeup tool for you.
no.
Yeah, but making
But
it
is
makes
it
it
a
go better,
makeup
though.
tool? Because if I angry that you don't honor my feelings and then I have sex with you, that why angry when it's not gonna go away? Because after
No,
the sex
but
done,
you have
Well,
to
it
make
depends
it
on what
work.
you're mad for. I mean, it's not like you're mad for everything. It's all dependent on what you're
Yeah.
mad for. It's like different
Somebody
levels.
Everybody have different angles, and
Yeah,
that's
different. I
interesting.
mean, if you
Everyone have
really do
different
something
angles.
if you do something to emotionally hurt me, I ain't gonna, be there thinking
Let's
about rocking your boat.
let's keep it moving because I have a whole bunch of questions. I'm sure I'm not gonna be able to
Lucian
get to
got a
them.
whole bunch of
Right,
chat
right.
here. Lucian putting a whole bunch of
I
stuff in
see.
here.
First of all, I don't know who said I was silently loud. With what? With Louis? What was that? I was silently loud with Louis, whatever that means. I don't know. Who said that? That's Lucian.
I think Imani said that.
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
don't know what that is.
That was
Anyway,
earlier.
so
Uh-huh.
let's move forward though with some.
Oh, no, that's Karita. That's Karita.
All right, Karita. How you doing, Karita? Welcome.
Lucian, let me
that's-
answer Lucian real quick. Lucian said, what would get my anger out? I don't know, Lucian. I don't know.
Time.
Go ahead.
Pinky, I was mad anyway, but let me move forward though. So let me move forward. So here's another question. Here's another question.
Certain people.
Here's another question. Why are women so judgmental, especially of yourself? And why are women so, and this I guess could talk about, this could probably tie into that last conversation. Why are women so obsessed with superficial appearances? Things that you do to enhance the fake this and the fake that, and this and that. But why are women so obsessed with that? And let me get everyone's perspective on that. There's so many ways that could be approached, but let me hear what you have to say about that. There's other parts of that question, but let me touch that part first.
For me, it's not an obsession. It's just a desire to put your best self forward to be attractive to the one you love.
Right, and let me add to the question also because, I think women are competitive in that manner also. They're competitive against each other with regards to, because like you just said, you want to put that best foot forward because, you got somebody else out there that could just come up and step up. So touch on that some more for me.
It's whether we like it or not. The first thing, your first impression is from a visual.
We're visual. We are visual. Yes, we are.
That's your first impression.
Naturally.
You're gonna either I may get to know you and see beyond some of your physical flaws, or you may see beyond some of my physical flaws. But ultimately, the first attraction gonna come from this visual exchange.
Most definitely. Most
And so
definitely.
you want to make sure. And then even after you have your mate, you're in the relationship right now. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. You have to maintain a level of confidence in yourself, and that's partly how you present yourself. And there are many more women out there trying to get your man. You got to do what you got to do to
So
keep.
that's a true response. It's actually a much more, I think, for me, in my opinion, a much conservative response. So that's a good response, though, because there's the extreme to that, like you just said. Your woman or that are gonna go to the next level, but then there's the extraness. And when I say the extraness, we're gonna get to this though, about the eyelashes and the hair.
But wait, let me, Louis.
Can't touch this with Debbie.
Sorry, I know, but let me just respond to this. Leslie answered this question really well. And so I just want to kind of read this because, again, our YouTube viewers can't see this. But to that question and a couple
Are you
other
going to read that whole response?
I'm reading one of them.
Wow.
I read pretty fast. It says, I think most of these questions lead back to what we are taught makes us valuable. From a young age, our looks, manners, and homemaking abilities are looked upon as our most important attributes. Why? To eventually get a husband someday. Why? So we'll be protected and taken care of. Why do we care about others' opinion? Perhaps we feel constantly judged. Why is a man's opinion important? Because we need to attract them. Why are we so judgmental? Perhaps because we feel judged and therefore judged. Why are we especially judgmental of ourselves? Because we need to be perfect in order to knock out all the competition around us. And she goes on. But like you said, Gigi, I think a lot of it has to do with women are competitive against each other because at the end of the day, you're seeking that best guy. And you also maintaining him, and then you have all these other people and outside factors that make you feel like you have to be better than, even though your mate is satisfied and happy with who you are, there's always that ongoing competition going on. And I think for some people, that's why that happens. For other people, I just think people live outside of themselves. Like, I have learned not to be judgmental. I don't know why somebody makes a decision. I don't know why somebody has what they have. And that's one of the things I try to impart to my kids. Do not ever judge anybody's situation because you don't know why and you don't know how they got there. And again, it goes back to self. A lot of times women are not taught, at least in our generation and prior,
let me just say something. Let me say something. Somebody made actually two comments. Somebody said, and you can tell me who says this, no woman can take your man unless he wants to be taken.
That's true.
These beauty accessories should be for self first. So that's what Gigi, you were probably referring to that.
You want to feel
good for self. And it starts at home. It starts at home, most definitely. Then, of course,
we do. I would be the first to admit there's some women, in my opinion, too, that go take it too far. We go a little too far, and that's my opinion. I mean, they may be cool with it, but yeah, some of us are a little extra.
Yeah, I saw somebody had a post. Kim, I don't know if you guys know Kim Shreesa. Let me give her a shout out on Facebook. She sent a post about, and the question was about what's the one thing that men don't like about women or something with regards to, I forgot what the question was, but I responded and I said, they lash them so long enough that if they blink fast enough, they could fly away. I mean, I don't mind the little enhancements, and I'm sure a lot of men are with me on this. We don't mind enhancements with regards to our eyelashes, but sometimes I can't even see your eyes.
These are all, again, individual preferences, right? Makeup, women clothing, high heel shoes, Victoria's Secrets. We could say what we want, but at the end of the day, this is billion-dollar industries.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, that's what I'm an individual. So when the question is posed to us about why do we do enhancements, wear fake hair, wear lipstick, nails, doing your nails, getting your nails done. All of these things is things that women have chosen to do, whether it's for themselves, whether it's for their mates, whether it's for both, because you could also do it for both. You got some men who like hair certain way. When I remember one time I was so mad with Vince, I decided I was cutting off all my hair, and I had long hair. And I didn't tell Vincent I was cutting my hair. I just went and I cut off all my hair, and my hair was short like Gigi. My husband was so mad with me. I was so empowered. And I was like, bump that. For years, I comb my hair if I want, and I comb my hair if I don't want. I wear makeup, I don't wear it, whatever. That was me empowering me. That was me making a statement saying that how I feel. And when I wasn't
You were reacting, Pinky. You were reacting.
I wasn't reacting, Louis. When you cut off all your hair, you ain't reacting because I thought about it and I do it first.
You were pissed off. You were reacting off of an emotion.
I was so happy that I cut off all my hair. And when I want combing my hair, you know why I want combing my hair? Because I was like, and men would watch me. They would watch because they're going to watch your body, like Carlos put up there. They're going to see your shape. And I used to say, watch, because you ain't going to touch. Even though my damn hair wasn't combed and I wasn't wearing makeup. So what I'm saying at the end of the day is, man, don't want you whether you're wearing makeup, you ain't wearing makeup. They don't want you whether you're fat or you're skinny. Again, as women,
Everyone
this is
has
an
a
industry.
preference. Yes.
It's a preference and it's an industry. Let me tell cosmetic industry, makeup, plastic surgery.
Let me go back to what Gigi was saying, because there's nothing wrong with it, you know, but like, as long as it's tastefully done, when is the extraness and the excessiveness? What is the point? I need to understand
that.
Like
what extraness, my son. Some man like your hair.
I guess it's like it's a personal choice. They
try and get one up and they think that I like it. If our men would stop watching women with certain things, then they're gonna stop doing it.
Yeah, the banner thing. That's a prime example.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Look at the banner thing, how crazy that has gone. Everybody pumping, sticking thing in the banner. Like, I was like, are you crazy?
On that show. We talked about that, about the enhancements and the implants. We talked about that, remember?
But that's what I'm saying. If I didn't...
Not everybody is for that. Not everyone. But like you said, it's a personal choice.
Look, I was like, are you on banner? No.
When things are tastefully done, there's nothing wrong with enhancements. There's nothing wrong with makeup. There's nothing wrong with your little hair. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
What's
but
tasteful?
And I guess, you know, that's my take on that. I can't deal with the long stuff. I want to see your eyes.
Can I chime in?
Sure.
There's one thing to want to adorn yourself. There's another thing to show self-love in the way you dress and do your hair, and, you know, do little minor enhancements, your lips, mascara, things you're applying. The problem comes when it becomes such a trend that this one style, these 10-inch eyelashes, becomes something that I want to say 90% of the women are, you know, swarming to this trend. So then it's no longer a preference. It's a trend.
It's a trend.
You know?
And it's gonna go out. The trend gonna go out.
You're not doing it because you know, it's something that makes you look. Because some of these things really don't look good on people. You're doing it because everybody's doing it. You know?
Well, let's talk about clothes. I mean, some of the clothes that I see women wear, just because I come in your size, ain't mean that it's for you. But
that's a universal rule. That still applies.
Yes.
Look, I know whether I was Trina or Pinky or who I went out with. But we went out to a restaurant, right?
Oh Lord, that was so funny. Oh Jesus!
And I mean, I am a people watcher. I love to just watch people and watch exchanges. And we in this restaurant, clearly, Pinky and I must be like the old people in the place, because the patrons are literally in lingerie, and bustiers, and showing up all their goodies on the top and the goodies on the bottom. I mean, it was like
He even had people who, remember I had the one woman who ain't had no undies and the high split that you could see.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
she's like,
normal though. That's
And this
normal.
was a very nice restaurant.
That's
She was,
normal.
and that chick wasn't heavy. She was small, but that is the culture and the time now does not give value to.
we thought we were around strippers.
Your body is just your body. Get over it, you know? And that's how they dress and that's how they go out. Now, you and I may go to a restaurant and we are not looking like that. And so we stick out as the old people in the place.
All right, I'll be devil's advocate. Maybe that's their fantasy.
It could be.
What came
But
us?
listen, at one point, I tell Trina, I said, listen, I gonna put it out there. I think that these are girls at the night, you know? And she was like, you think so? I said, yeah, because I can't see this being the norm, you know? And she was like, maybe, you know, whatever. But it was a lot. It was a whole lot.
But why come to
Sometimes
find
when
out
they're
Gigi
that
is this the norm
extreme-
among? Go ahead, Kima.
Sometimes when
Sorry.
they're that extreme, I always assume they're men.
We thought somewhat there too. Like it was extreme. It was nothing like I've ever seen before. And I just assume it's my age. And because what I understanding is this is what's in now. And why are women? Because men love it, and that's why the
Well,
women them are doing it.
Let's. I know I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but Pinky,
Are
but
you
we
the
got.
source of the problem?
I'm looking at time. Are we the source of the problem? What are you talking about? We men or women? What are you talking about?
I thought
Hold
I
on.
said that under my breath.
No, you said that because you want a reaction from you. No, I'm gonna give you a reaction. But let me say this though. It's funny that you said it because I'm gonna say this real quick, and then I'm going to one last question that we need to kind of talk about, and it's about right now what we mentioned about clothes and enhancements and things like that. There's a flip side that I only mention this, and we're gonna move right to line. We're gonna even discuss it. There's also the aspect of women putting on, let's say you're getting an argument and you put on something that you're not gonna get to the man. Like I had these little gray pants that used to just drive me crazy, but we ain't gonna even get into that. Let's move it right along.
I actually mentioned that earlier. You just
did?
just didn't hear me.
I didn't hear you.
You
The
just
little
didn't
gray
hear
pants.
me.
Man, she know what
Gigi
she
and
would-
Pinky and Karen heard
She
me.
know what she would do with them gray pants. But anyway, let's keep it rolling because we look time is of the essence. I just have another question really quick, and it's kind of like the wrap up question. I mean, I had so many more questions. I just can't get into right now. But this is a wrap up question, and this is a question that we asked the men last week also. How has this platform helped you, if at all? And what has it meant, or what does it mean, or what has it meant to you now? Kema, let's start with you.
Now, as a guest or in the group?
In the group and as a guest, even about these conversations that we've been having.
I'm trying to
Elaborate.
remember who invited me. Somebody, I think it was
I
you.
did. Kima, how could you forget? I did.
Somebody invited me to this group, and I was like, "Oh, okay, love and enlightenment."
So tell us
Not
how
the group. I invited you to the show.
Well, you
No.
invited me to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was
how's the platform helped you? This
Well,
platform.
nothing. No platform can really help me.
Well, I mean, the name says it all, but let me get the name says it all. Because when you came out with that last night, I was like, what?
It's a dilemma. I'm always in the middle of a dilemma. Should I do this? Should I do that? Oh, what am I going to do? Anyway.
Lucian said, pay attention, Kima.
Okay. Lucian, okay, it's not 90%, maybe 80. Oh, I read what you said. Just being in the group, being on the platform. I don't hold back. Well, I've never held back. I know my mother's in this group and she's probably watching, so it's nothing new that she's gonna hear. I love that woman.
Oh, your mom is dope, by the way. Hey, Miss Lovin, how you doing? She's dope.
I know
I
she's probably like,
to know that Kemba come out here last night and tried to act like she didn't know me. I tell her I don't call you.
Oh,
I thought it was Pinky talking. I thought it was Pinky talking, and so
Yeah.
I was like,
That's why your story today. I told you I'm gonna call your mother. Well, I'm glad you're listening.
yeah, no, just being able to continue to express myself and to know that my ideas, my opinions are valid, and that nobody's like judging me or nobody saying, "That's not what she said." I thought, or or somebody. I'm validating somebody else out there, in agreement, or somebody, just to give somebody just an outlet to express themselves. If you're an open spirit, a free spirit, go ahead, fly. Have 5 dates on Tinder.
Fly as high as you can, honey child. I'm gonna support you. Trust me.
Let's get Gigi's take on how this platform has.
I mean,
That's
I've enjoyed the discussion. I like to hear other views and perspectives. Sometimes it's just a matter of, like you say, enlightenment, kind of opening up to other perspectives and hearing, like-minded women, men share their views. I don't necessarily agree with all of them, and I don't think that that's the intent, but it's sometimes just the opportunity to hear it, to digest it, to listen to it, and perhaps apply some of it to my own life and say, oh, okay, so that could be what's going on here, or whatever. But I've had the opportunity to tune into a couple of the shows and share my little 2 cents and my comments. I'm currently in the 30-day challenge with my accountability partner. But we ain't gonna call no names because I don't know what kind of accountability partnership is, but I have one on this, in one of these squares on my computer here. Is my and so I'm just enjoying it. So if you ask me how it's held, it's just a place to relax, relate, and relieve.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, this is definitely dope with regards to having an opportunity to engage in meaningful dialogue. So this is good. Thanks for that. That's dope. Pinky, I know, Karen. Let's get your.
Louis.
Pardon me.
Talk about memories. They don't think so. Back in the day.
God, Darren, I was hoping you didn't call in. Anyway, I was okay. So Karen, you funny. Karen, go ahead. Let's see what you got to say.
It has definitely contributed.
And Karen,
to my
by the way,
social
sorry, I
life.
mean to cut you out, but Karen, you come in from a different vibe. Can you hear me? Because you've been on the show several times before,
Yes.
so you're kind of like, yeah. So let's hear what you got to say about this.
Internet connection messing up, but can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay. And I'm gonna be quick because it's messing up. For me, it's contributed to my social life to be a part of a group where, like Gigi says, there's no judgment. It's opinions. Either you accept it, you like it, or you don't. Sometimes it's good to see people have the opposite, so you can see someone else's perspective from an adult mindset. And I like that we're culturally connected. So we no matter what, we still have something in common. And I like the fact that, you get to see other people's opinion other than yours, and you get to share yours and not be judged, that you're willing to swing from a chandelier and it's okay. So
I like that.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I remember in the one show that we talked about pornography, we talked about filming yourself. You could do that and knock yourself out and have fun with that too. You and your mate, But anyway, so Pinky.
Well, for me, I leave every show learning something because that's just what I want to do. I want to grab something and I want to use it in my life too. If it's not for me, it's for somebody else. So I might not use it for me. I might not swing off of a chandelier. I just don't see it happening, Karen. But the fact that I could open my mind to it, not me actually doing it, but the fact that it's okay to do it. It's okay. But I ain't gonna do it because I just can't. I know the chandelier gonna come down and it's not gonna be a nice thing. Then people gonna be in the hospital, it's gonna be bloodshed all over. It's not gonna be
You see what Pinky got? You got too deep. You got too deep.
Yo,
Get starting pole. Get pole, Pinky.
start with a pole. Yeah, Gigi, start with a pole, man. Start with a pole.
Oh gosh!
Go to some pole dancing
That's what I
classes.
learned from this show. That I gonna sit down, I gonna relax, I gonna let my mind expand just a little bit beyond where it was before. Thanks to Karen and Kema and Gigi. And Gigi got a field trip coming up. I know when we gonna go. But I learned that on the show. And then when I was talking to Gigi, I was actually giving Gigi some pointers. Neat. Like,
Wait,
Gigi,
hold on. I got field trip. You guys want to just touch on that, or should we just wait and have you come back on the show and talk about that field trip?
Gigi, you could talk about a field trip. You're the married woman.
I'm just saying, this is something that we could probably use. And
We're going to check out an adult store. We're going to see what.
okay.
Me and
That's a good
Gigi,
move.
me and Gigi never entered into an adult store until Gigi was over 50 and I approaching 50.
Okay.
Right.
So,
But these are things that you can do to enhance your relationship. There's nothing wrong with that.
but I didn't know that till the show. That's the thing. I didn't know till the show. And that's what I'm saying. So for me, Eleni has opened my mind and has allowed me to learn. And I was giving Gigi advice based on the show. And I can't give no advice in that area, but Gigi take my advice too. Hey. So
Thank you.
that's
Somebody want to come and have a
That's
picture.
Nikki. That's her twin.
oh,
Yes. We're going to make it a
Well,
Oh,
we're
God,
gonna.
Imani said she coming to. Oh, Jesus, the drum. We'll be in trouble with the drum. You know what I mean?
Wait 1 second. Marcelino, when you asked that question, Ventura, he said your platform is great. It provides an avenue to get answers and confirm doubts that one might have. It's fun and serious at the same time. I commend you all. It would be great to see some young people on board as well. God knows some of them need guidance. And to answer that, we will be having shows
We talked
coming
about
up
that.
where we're
Yeah.
going to have younger audience members involved in the conversations, because again, like I've said many times before, this is not just about us. It's about the legacy that we want to leave, and it's the seed that we want to plant, and they have to be a part of the conversation. So know that we will be having younger people. Last week we had Ronti on. He's early 30s, but we will have 20-something and 30-something year olds that will be answering and talking about their experiences and where they are in life. So thank you for saying that. Go ahead, Kim.
Excellent. So,
Before we leave, I wanted to share a haiku by Yugo Kawano or Kawano. Haiku is a Japanese form of poetry where you know what a haiku is. Anyway, this is to kind of plant the seeds for everyone's fantasy. You approaching me with the smell of fresh cut morning grass, my nipples turn hard.
Thank
okay.
you.
Thanks for that.
Also, Louis,
Thank you,
before you
Trevor.
close off, you see, Kemba, I always start in some dilemma. But anyway, Louis, I have this
I
comment.
thought we were talking about fantasies.
No, we don't pass that,
We
honey.
don't
You
pass
just
that
don't want to
already.
leave
We
that.
passed that, Kemma, but go ahead, Gigi. We passed that.
Okay, so we had a whole lot of conversation this week about questions men would like to ask women, and you had the same thing last week. Reverse. So my question is, and I think this premises is the premise for why there may not be that open communication to ask, or why these questions are out there. So we always hear about men as men will talk to their sons and educate them on the birds and the bees. Is that a true statement? like you have a conversation with your father about the virgin race. I'll be honest,
Well-
from the female perspective, I don't think that is the case. At least not for me. Most
won't
women
for me.
in our generation, we didn't have our birds and bees. We kind of learned from TV and movies and your friends and books.
I don't really honestly know that story. I mean, I always thought it was metaphorically, to be honest with you, but it does make sense about. I mean, eventually later I found out, but I didn't have that when I was coming up. It was just level conversation, father to son. This is what's going on. This is how things are work. This is what you do. X Y Z. It
But
wasn't.
we had a conversation. So
Oh, most definitely, most definitely.
see, and I think that there's
It has
more
a lot to do with how you're brought up, though. It has a lot to do with the household and how things are, how you were brought up.
No, I think
In my opinion, I mean, for me,
and I also think it's a sex thing. When I say sex, females versus males, I think having that conversation on the men's side was more acceptable for a longer time than it was.
I see
Women.
where you're going with it. I understand. So, in
so
other words, for women, that wasn't an easy conversation for women to, let's say mothers to have with their daughters.
They didn't have it with us. They
They
didn't
didn't
have
have
it
that.
with us.
It's
And
an
so-
easier, you're right. It is an easy conversation for men to have.
Exception. You had Miss Lovin. Use an exception.
Free spirit, all the way.
Your mother is a teacher. My mother ain't tell you nothing.
But most women, and I might even go so far to say our kind of women, mothers, they having them conversations with you. So when I saw Bridgerton, the series Bridgerton, I could really relate to the fact that that new mother, or new wife, sorry, not mother,
Yeah,
new
yeah.
wife, was clueless as to what intercourse was, what sex was. I could understand.
Yeah, I related totally to
And I
what.
think that's a lot to do with how these conversations that we're having as far as openness.
So now, like you said that, so you didn't get that education, you didn't have that conversation at home. So now you're learning this from your mate.
from your mates, your friends, your books, movies, every place else other than from, within the household. But I think things have changed. I think this generation is a little different. We know a little more free-spirited with our children.
But we got more TV, like everybody said. We have so much access to internet.
It's all
So
access.
if you remember when we were growing up, I mean, I used to watch I Love Lucy. Two people didn't even stay in the same bed, and look now. When Brianna was watching How to Get Away with Murder, I almost had a heart attack. So, things just have changed so much. And so these younger people they're exposed. We weren't exposed. I mean, you remember back in our day, HBO had on stuff, it was midnight. And we weren't up midnight. We were falling asleep 8, 9 o'clock. So now you could see things all day, rated R, it don't matter. And even at Disney, they got some stuff sometime. I was like, really? They got gay people in Disney and thongs on the Disney cartoon thongs. Like, I don't know what to say, so that's why the kids know more, they express themselves more, they have more experience because they're totally exposed.
Okay,
Excellent.
well, as we said before, we know that these kind of conversations.
But Debbie, you didn't answer the question.
Yeah, but it's like after 9:30.
Okay, you got a minute. Answer the question. How has LNE affected you? Like, you have
Who,
to answer.
me?
You didn't answer.
Well, as I've said on many shows before, for me, this platform was an opportunity for like-minded, and even not even like-minded. It's an opportunity for people to see perspectives that they never even thought about, and hopefully give people the opportunity to look at life through other people's eyes. Because I think a lot of times we make decisions, we interact with people based on, of course, how we were raised. And so this gives people a platform to just have, again, like Louis says, conversation, open dialogue, share, because it's not just about the Thursday shows. It's about just the posts and making people think, so for me, that's what creating this was about. I really didn't even, like I've said before, part of why I created as a private group was I didn't I didn't even think, like, we made 1,000 the other day. I didn't even think for a private group that there wasn't a number in my head. But for me, as long as people continues to be a group where people can share their ideas and their perspectives and their experiences in a mature way, that's going to ultimately help us as a community, I am all for it. So I'm glad that it's going in the direction it's going. It's only been 6 months. As I don't know if a lot of people realize that I wanted to write a book because of my dating experiences. And because of, we were in the pandemic, I was like, I'm seeing so many people put things on social media. This might be an opportunity for us to just sit down and have a conversation. And fortunately for me, I've had a lot of male friends. And so I hear male perspectives a lot, but I have a lot of female friends that don't have that. And so that's why part of this for me was to give an opportunity for men and women to have these conversations. So that we can think about humankind, even though men are different than women, but at the end of the day, it's how you are in relation with people, period. So I love it.
And every time you say that, I always tell you, go and write it down, but you know that. So
I know.
Let's make this happen. You know what I mean?
I will.
But I want to just take this opportunity to thank everyone. I want to definitely, especially thank Karen, Kimberly, and Gigi. Of course, want to thank all of you for being a part of this experience and giving us your insight and answering these questions. Know that we'll probably have you guys again on the show. That definitely, because we always engaging in very, very interesting dialogue here for sure. Pinky and Debbie, of course, we appreciate everything that you guys bring, as always. So, I want to just take this opportunity again to thank everyone. And to the viewing audience, just remember, we're also on YouTube. So please go to YouTube. It's Love and Enlightenment USVI. Come on board, like and subscribe, because we're trying to build that over on YouTube also. Again, we've just peaked at over 1,000. So we're not peaked, we've actually reached over 1,000 because we were trying to reach for more. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to everything that you guys do to contribute. And once again, we do appreciate everything that you guys do as far as posting and being a part of this whole experience. So that being said, of course, I'd like to close out wishing each and every one of you good things, great things, beautiful things.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for being a part of the platform. Thank you.
Bye, Pinky. See you on the other side.
Bye, sweetie. It was great having you guys, Gigi and Karen.
Thank you.
See you all. I hope you come back soon.
Gigi. Bye, Louie. Bye,
Take care,
Karen.
guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys.